Hello. In this video, we are going to cover annuities, which you may not have heard before. To give you a background of what an annuity is, I'm going to tell you a story about my grandfather. Last summer, he was getting close to his death. He was 90, 93, and had lived a really good life. So we were looking through some of his books, and he had this book he wanted to give me. It had like a bunch of mathematical formulas and numbers and kind of an old book. But I noticed in the margins was sketched this formula, the formula that we're covering today. And it's a formula that he used to save. Annuity is something you deposit money into an account every month or every period. And he was a very wise person with money. He had saved money and invested. And by the end of his life, he lived like you wouldn't guess that he was rich, but by the end of his life, he had over $10 million that he was donating to charities. So it's impressive that if you know how to manage money well over time, you can accumulate a lot of wealth. That can be used for good. It also is a pretty evil thing. Finance is something we got to be very smart about. So what exactly is an annuity? I want to use this illustration here of your friend, okay? He is taking money from you every month because he can't pay his rent and you're being nice to him. But you realize you gotta put him in line. So you're gonna use an idea that each month you pay him rent, you're gonna add 3% to what he owes you and continue doing that every month. That's what an annuity is from the side of someone who's investing. Like you're getting an amount that he owes you back. So each month you're depositing in you could say his amount that he owes you $300, and he's owing you 3% interest on everything he owes. Okay, so what's going on is, I should get my pencil out so we can really draw this out. So what's going on at the current month end, this is the current time. What he owes you is his previous time, the amount he owes you the previous time, plus interest, right? Plus what he owes you, do it like this. Interest on previous time. And then this is the rent that he is taking from you again, and he's going to owe you. So this formula is kind of tricky to find an explicit formula, but using some tricks from calculus 2, we can convert this formula into an explicit formula here. Okay, so check this out. After a year, if he is using this formula, you put in n is 12, he's owing you 3% each time period. And if you use this formula, what he owes you after a year is $4,257. Whoa, it's a lot of money. And compare that to how much he actually paid you. Wait, how much you paid him? Let's calculate that. Give him, kind of like you invested it in the amount that he owes you. So how much did you give him? You gave him $300 a month times 12. That's $3,600. So compare that here. You can tell that he's paying over $600 in interest. And that's just in 1 year. So where this becomes extremely powerful is if you start depositing in an annuity when you're pretty young age and continue for like 30, 40 years, you can get a pretty insane amount of money building up just through regularly depositing and getting interest on what you're depositing. So here is the general annuity formula. I'm going to explain what everything is. We're going to use this formula and I'm going to get some practice on. Notice there's a lot of parentheses here. That's one thing that you should be really careful about. So here D is the amount you deposit. Each time period. So usually each month. Like you get a monthly paycheck, okay, put a little bit of it into your annuity. R is your interest rate. That's a decimal. K is the number of time periods. Usually it's 12 for monthly, right? And then N, the big N here, is the number of years you're in your number of years you're are building money. Okay, so the formula up here was a little different. We didn't have R over K, but actually R we talked about was 36% was the annual rate. So R over K would have been 0.36 divided by 12, which gives us the monthly rate. Okay, so that's, this is different. He told you a monthly rate, or you figured that out with him. Usually you got an annual rate. That's what your bank is going to specify. So, oh yeah, some things to know about. Usually these are done in special, annuities are done in special plans. The three main ones are 401k, which is something your employers offer you. And they often match what you put in. So, and it reduces your taxable income. You do it before taxes. So this is something, if your company matches it, do it. That's like the number one thing to do. The next thing is a traditional IRA. This is where you put your money in before you pay taxes. So this reduces your taxable income, but then you do have to pay taxes when you pull it out. What I have is a Roth IRA. The advantage of this is you put money in after you pay taxes, but you don't get taxes on any interest. So if you make a couple thousand or, $500,000 of interest on your Roth IRA, you don't pay taxes when you pull it out. Okay, so these are things to know about when you start investing. The number one articles say this is what you should do first if you have employer contributions where they match it. And then this is kind of the next thing to think about. If you're making insane amounts of money, you'll probably have all three, but yeah, let's look at how you can actually use these formulas. Like you can use this formula here to make very good financial decisions. You can project how much you'll have in a period of time. So let's look at this example. Okay, you decide you can put in $100 a month into your traditional IRA. You're earning 5% annual interest. That's a pretty good interest rate, compounded monthly. How much will you have in your account? Okay, I'll write this formula. So we got D equals 1 plus R over K, K minus 1. Notice all the parentheses divided by R over K. Okay, so what are our values? Values for D is the amount you posited in. So D is 100. R is going to be 0.05 annual interest rate. And since it's monthly, that's K is 12. And 20 years is N equals 20. So if you put all this in, here's your D, 1 plus R over K. Here's how you can put it into Desmos. You have to put like a caret here, times 12 times 20. Oh, wait a second, gotta be consistent. Just so you see the mapping, R times, K and N minus 1, and then divided by the interest rate. Oh, excuse me again. R over K. Okay, so you can actually copy paste this and modify it for using your calculations if you're in the notes. Okay, so how much do you have after 20 years? You get 41,000. So that's Pretty impressive. Just by putting in $100 a month, you get $41,000 after 20 years. And so to compare this to how much you actually put in, okay, that's how much you have after 20 years. The question is, well, how much did you deposit? So here's the answer to that. You had $100 per month times 12 months in a year times 20 years. That gives you 24,000. So you see that over time you accrue a significant amount of money. Nice. Okay, so it looks like the rest of these problems I'm going to do in class. So we will see you in the next video, which talks about the kind of the opposite of annuity is a loan. Instead of like adding money for the future, you borrow money and you have to pay it back. So it's a similar idea. And this also can be used to make good financial decisions. All right, so I will see you next in that video.